Hi everybody and welcome to the Perfect 10 series. I am Marilise de Villiers. I'm a performance coach, an author and a change consultant. And I'm passionate about promoting safer and more inclusive workplace cultures where people can show up at their best and help to protect their organizations, make their organizations more resilient. So the Perfect 10 is a 10-week series on future skills. So these are the top 10 skills that I believe organizations have to develop now and in the future in order for the organization and its people to thrive. So this week we are going to cover top skill number 4, physiology mastery. So we're already in the 4th week of the show. If you've missed the first 3 episodes, please go back and watch those. We covered in week 1 empathy, in week 2 creativity, and then week 3 was last week authenticity. And I had some amazing guests who shared wonderful insights and wonderful practical tips. So I'd really encourage you to go back and watch those. But for today, we're looking at physiology mastery. What is physiology mastery? This is how you get your body into the best shape possible so that you can show up at your best every day, full of energy, fully engaged and fully present in your interactions with others. Why is physiology mastery so important to me? Well, I wear many hats every day. I'm a mother, I'm a wife, I'm a business owner, I'm a friend, I'm a colleague, and I'm also my own person. And it helps me to really stay on top of all these things, manage and juggle all these different things that I have to deal with on a day-to-day basis. So I call food and exercise my 2 non-negotiables. So I'm delighted today to be joined by Colette Pena, the founder of the Goddess Academy and the transformation coach for the ambitious women. I'm going to hop over to Zoom now and continue my conversation with Colette. Physiology mastery is so critical, and it's had a profound impact in my life when I've had to really get my life back on track. And one of the first things I've done was to actually do, as I thought initially, a body transformation. And I did it with our guest today, the wonderful Colette Pena. And it was so much more than a body transformation, and she will let you in on a few secrets today. But Colette, welcome. I'm so delighted to have you.
Thank you. Lovely to be here.
And let me just tell you a little bit more about Colette. So she is a health and fitness entrepreneur with a vision to help as many ambitious women as she can #rise so they can become the best version of themselves and walk in the shoes of their inner goddess with confidence and purpose. So Colette is the founder of the Goddess Academy. She specializes in body transformations, health and wellness, and is a seasoned fitness professional who lives and breathes what she teaches every day. Over the last 15 years, she's helped women find their fitness, health, and confidence. She's driven by her obsession to live her best life, to be in the best shape of her life, and connected with those around her. With this drive comes a commitment to helping those she comes in contact with on a day-to-day basis to feel better about themselves, to have a positive impact on the world, and create a much happier, kinder place. So Colette, I'm going to dive straight in and ask you a little bit more about you and your own transformation journey.
Thank you. Wow. This is so cool. Thank you so much for having me here. It's really, really exciting for me. And such a great opportunity to be able to unpack a few of these ideas and, just tell you a little bit about the Goddess Academy. So I trained in fitness about 15 years ago, and I started teaching loads and loads of classes, taking care of my health and wellness as I thought I was. And probably 5 years into my training, I just needed to fuel myself because I was teaching so many classes and doing so much stuff. And I was checking myself into my business. I completely forgot about looking after myself, right? And I started fueling myself with loads of sugar and all the wrong things. And before I knew it, I'd put on loads of weight. And I can remember coming back from a holiday in Antigua where we'd taken some great photographs. It was such a magical place, and I'd had such a lovely holiday. I really needed it. I was exhausted, and I can remember coming back feeling great, but having a look at the photos and going, "Oh my God, I can't believe that that's me." Where is this fitness guru that you are, Colette? Where's the body? And how can people possibly aspire to look like you and to believe what you say because you can't walk your walk, right? So I decided at that point that I had to take things just seriously. I had to start looking after myself and just up leveling my own importance on my priority list. And that meant getting enough sleep, that meant eating properly, that meant exercising for myself, that meant taking some time out for myself just to decompress, because stress is such a killer when it comes to looking after your body and being in great shape. So I went through that whole process and I tried everything. I tried every single diet that you could possibly imagine. I tried a high protein, low carb. I tried, keto. I tried veganism. I tried vegetarianism. I tried eating just protein. And all these things kind of did bits for me. But in that process, I've unpacked and uncovered, and they work for my clients systematically, one after the next. Now, but I'm not saying that there's one thing that'll work for everybody. There isn't. And that's the beauty of working with somebody like me, because we try something, we get you to a lovely level playing field, and then we tweak and change things. So I've learned that through my own experience, and I've tried loads of things, and I've worked with hundreds of women, and I'm confident that what we do actually gets results every single time, because we iterate and iterate and iterate. And that's all I've done with myself. So I lost 2.5 stone through doing all of that, and I got myself into better shape, and I felt much better mentally, physically. I just took control and took care of everything on a very, very holistic level. So it wasn't just about eating, it wasn't just about exercise, it was about the decompression, the being kind to myself, it was about looking after myself as well. And I realized that I couldn't pour from an empty cup. I had to look after myself, the cup, the vessel, because I'm the person that's out there delivering, right?
Mm.
So I lost all that weight, and typical Colette, overachiever, I decided that wasn't enough, right? I had to compete. So I started competing in bodybuilding competitions, and I did my first competition 5 years ago. I was due to hop on stage this year, but of course COVID's happened. So I'm not sure that that's going to happen, because I don't know if the comps are going to go ahead. But needless to say, I'm in prep for an end of November show. So we will see where things go. I suppose my transformation took me from being unhappy, fat, not kind to myself, being all judgy and just feeling really, really bad, to feeling much better and in control of myself and actually in great shape. So there you go. I hope that answers your question. It's quite a journey.
And it is. And I think I am fortunate to, have actually been part of, the journey in a way, because that's what attracted me to you initially, was the fact that you don't just say what you do, you actually do it on a day-to-day basis. That's your lifestyle, and whatever you teach your clients, it's what you do. You say you walk the walk, and there's so much to unpick in that introduction you've just given us. But I think from my perspective, the gift that you gave me was that getting into the best shape of my life for life. So the physiology mastery is not something you do as a quick fix. It's something that you set up and you progress that over time, and you get into habits, into good habits, daily habits that then help you help you master that over time and sustain. I guess the sustain is better to sort of over time, because we also know that it's not a perfect science. Sometimes you fall off the bandwagon and then you got to jump up again. But it is a bit of you got to just kind of remind yourself why you're doing it, and that you're in it for the long run. So so I just wanted to sort of pick up on the on you sort of saying about the actual body, getting the body into shape, but also the elements surrounding that. So obviously it's not just about our body. I mean, you always talk about the body as this amazing vessel, that takes care of us every day, but it needs it needs a bunch of things, so why don't you just kind of explore that a bit, and tell us what makes our bodies function optimally, I guess.
Well, we all know that we need food to survive. We need water, right? We need to be active. We need rest. We need to be hydrated. Those are all the fundamental things, and we can take care of those quite simply. If you focus on those things and commit yourself to them, you can take care of them. You've touched on the fact that it's a long-term thing, and of course it is. It's a lifestyle that we're trying to learn, and habits that we're trying to learn. And I think those are the fundamental keys. I can tell you to go and eat the following things every single day. Doesn't necessarily mean you're going to do it. I can tell you to go and do this level of exercise every day. It doesn't mean you're going to do it. And likewise, I can say to you, you've got to de-stress, you've got to decompress, you've got to be taking the following supplements, you've got to be looking after yourself. But unless you actually physically do those things and they become part of your lifestyle, and become a long-term focus of yours, you're not going to get there. We can all drink a milkshake for breakfast every single day and lose a huge amount of weight. There's some women that'll come to me and say, "Oh, Colette, I did that milkshake diet and I lost 2 stone and now I've put it all back on again." Well, hello. Okay, so we've got to learn the lessons, and we've got to learn the habits that give us a long-term strategy and something that we can stick to really get some good results.
Yeah, and I guess the results that you talk about is more about energy for life, so this series is all in the context of corporate, professionals in a corporate setting, in a work environment, and we want to show up as our best selves every day. So our physiology and how we show up, sort of even just in terms of our presence, is so incredibly important. So I guess for me, it's shifted now into that sort of whole, how do I bring my whole self, my best self, but then also how do I generate that energy every day? Because you've got to generate. You've said that at the beginning, it's like you can't drink from an empty cup, you've got to put your own oxygen mask on first before you before you help others. So I'm fascinated by this energy for life principle, and the sort of, yes, you say the things that, it's common sense, but it's not common practice. We know that. But yeah, what would be sort of some of the daily habits that people can adopt to actually get that energy for life?
I think energy for life means that you are willing to step up, and you're able to step up and actually do what you need to do in a day. Whether that is heading into a very, high-powered meeting, whether it means, being in front of your clients, whether it means, dealing with the kids every day, you've still got to be willing to step up and able to step up and have the right level of energy. And that only happens when you take care of yourself. That only happens when you eat properly, when you get enough sleep, when you manage your stress, when you're kind to yourself. And also, you've got to let your hair down every so often. I'm not a nun, I have a glass of wine. So, you've got to be willing to kind of evolve and find a little ritual that works for you every single day. And there are so many experts out there that'll say to you, it's all about your morning routine. It's all about nailing a few things in your morning that's going to set you up for the day. And, for me, I've found that getting up early and giving myself some kind of decompression time to just really establish my intention for the day, to have my glass of water, have my coffee, to do my cardio, and get all of that out the way really helps me and sets me up really well for the day. But that might not work for you. It might. So it's about taking care of these little things and creating a kind of space in your diary for exercise, for food, for decompression time, and not cancelling and not feeling guilty when you don't cancel and you say, "I'm sorry, hubby, I can't cook tonight," or "right now I've got to do my exercise." Do you know what I mean? You've got to be willing to prioritize yourself. So I hope that answers your question.
Absolutely. And I think what's really key is that prioritizing yourself on your list of priorities and not negotiating yourself out of it. I think it's so easy for us to put ourselves kind of last on the list and care for and attend to everybody else, so I think that's absolutely key. So 2 principles that I learned, on my journey with you, my sort of initial 4-month transformation journey that I did with you, was first of all that cardio is not king, So I was very like, I was a cardio junkie, cycle, cycle, cycle. Running not so much, but I did it just because I think it was a good like impact sport. You get their kind of training in that you need for the day. And then I started doing all these strength training and HIIT training, and I remember the first time in the gym
Sorry.
doing kettlebells. It was just like I was so uncomfortable, and doing a burpee, I felt like a bloody hippopotamus, you know.
I remember those early text messages saying, "Oh my God."
So it is, I mean, for me, that was a massive learning. The fact that, especially when we get older, our bodies need the strength training. We need the weights, the lifting and the hits. So just
Yeah.
talk us a little bit through why that is.
Um, Cardio is good for your cardiovascular fitness, right? And you're only going to be fit for what you train yourself to do. So cardiovascular fitness, heart and lungs means that you are going to be working your cardiovascular system when you're doing lots and lots of cardio. It doesn't mean that you're going to be creating a metabolic afterburn, which is what we need to be able to manage our insulin levels, to be able to manage our body fat, and to keep ourselves looking really, really good, right? Muscular toned. The only way that you achieve that look, and it really depends on that look, it depends on what you want your body to look like, and how you want to function. So to have a very toned look through your system and a healthy functioning body, you need to be doing resistance training. And that, I'm sorry, ladies, means getting into the gym or getting into your home gym, whether that's in front of your TV with somebody online or in a gym environment, and actually doing some resistance training, some weight training. And there's no risk of you ever looking like Arnold Schwarzenegger, because you don't take steroids, you're not a man. Okay.
I think
It's
that's
important.
a big concern, especially for women,
Huge.
is the moment I start lifting weights, I just
I'm
bulk
going to
up.
go.
And I know I've learned from you that you need to do quite heavy weights before that happens, and obviously frequently, and as you say, take the relevant supplements.
Yeah, but also we don't have the right level of, we don't have the same level of testosterone as men. Men just get more muscular much, much quicker, and they tend to grow. It takes us a long time to
Yeah.
even see a little titivation in our size.
Yeah, no, true. And I guess the other key thing I learned, which I also wanted just to pick up on, is this idea that fat is not the enemy. So growing up, everything I ate was kind of low fat or fat free, and then suddenly I'm like having everything full fat. And I mean, the amount of
Avocados.
avocados and like raw oils and just nuts, and it's just like and it was just such a new way of eating for me, which I'm never
Yeah.
used to it. So again, can you kind of just tell us again why that is so important?
Low-fat products came out of the 19, I think, 80s or 70s, where everybody thought that they needed to go low fat because that was going to help you with heart disease, it's going to keep you healthy. But the truth is that when something is created, as a full fat product, that's what it is, and it goes through a chemical process or a heating process, to kind of strip out the fat. So it just becomes a very processed product, and our bodies don't like it. So, you're much better eating a full fat product and eating less of it than going for something that's low fat. Our bodies also need fat. Every single one of our cells has got a lipid bilayer. So if you can picture a cell, it's got a lipid layer all the way around it, which is fat. And without that being pliable, there are no messages, all the messages that go through from the brain to the body are interrupted and unable to pass through that layer, as are all the toxins and everything else that we pick up in our cells. So it's really important to be eating good quality fats, and saturated fats are not the enemy. Coconut oil, even butter, grass-fed butter, ghee, olive oils, all of those kinds of things are really good for you. Nuts and seeds, avocados, as you say, even some dairy products are fabulous. Products that have been highly processed or have loads of antibiotics in them. You've got to be selective, but getting those fats in are so, so important.
Yeah,
Shying away from them is just doing you a disservice. So
yeah,
it's important. We need to be able to have all of these
yeah.
messages going through the system.
And the other thing I learned was around micronutrients. So I sort of started talking to people about macros, and I started
Macros.
sort of obviously weighing my food, which is also never in my lifetime I'm going to do
Oh,
that. But
bless
then,
you.
you've also got to be very careful with the combination of foods that you put into your body, especially for your body type.
Yeah.
So yeah, again, can you just educate us a bit on that as well?
Macros are essentially carbohydrates, proteins, and fats. Okay, your micronutrients are all the little nutrients, all the vitamins and minerals that sit underneath that layer. And some people don't like counting macros, don't want to count their calories, don't want to worry about all that stuff, and that's absolutely fine. We can work like that as well. But if you're really wanting to see some proper transformation in your body, it's very important to get a feel for how much carbohydrate, protein, and fat you need to eat on a day-to-day basis. And of course, your body shape has an impact on that. For example, if you are an endomorph like me, you have a more rounded muscular shape, you need to be staying away from carbohydrates. You've got to be eating higher protein, higher fat diets, and you've got to be exercising slightly differently to someone who is like a mesomorph who's very, very thin and lean and athletic. And it's going to take them a little bit longer to go woof, but they always have that beautiful slimline body. And of course, they eat differently, so they can handle more carbohydrates. They can handle longer cardio sessions. They can, so everybody is slightly different, and it is based on your body shape, it's based on your level of activity, it's based on your appetite for these things. Marilise wanted to know all about the macros, and you're a bit of a nerd like that, aren't you, in
Yeah.
terms of going, all right, I want to be absolutely on point here, it's got to work for me.
Yes.
And some people don't like that, so a lot of my clients will come to me and say, I don't want to count my calories. I don't want to hop on the scales. I'm scared of them. I just don't like them. And of course, the number on the scales is just a number, right? It doesn't talk about how incredible you are. It doesn't talk about what's actually happening in your body in terms of your body composition. And those are the key things that we look at. So we look at your body fat, we look at your muscle mass, we look at how much water you're carrying, and we just keep an eye on what's happening. So the number's irrelevant as long as you're moving in the right direction. That's the important thing.
Yeah.
And do you know what? No judgment zone. You can't look at those numbers and go, I weigh 75 kilos, that means I'm fat. Well, no, it doesn't. Okay. So I think those are probably some of the big lessons that we learn as we work together, is that, that number is really just a number. And yeah, of course, macros are important. But likewise, you don't have to agonize over them.
Absolutely, and I guess you've said it earlier as well. It is about the balance as well at the end of the day, because we also do need to let our hair down sometime. We do need the days where we have a glass of wine, or a cheat day, as you call them, or a cheat meal. Sometimes they turn into cheat days for me. But I guess, yeah. So yeah. I mean, of course, we're making light of this because I'm conscious that we have very good habits when it comes to our food, our exercise, and also the mindfulness side of it. So the decompression, as you call it, I love that decompression. And you and I both do yoga. We take our dogs for long walks in the woods. So there are all sorts of things we do to decompress. I guess what I want to tell people watching is that it is about just starting where you are at. Because it's very important to realize that you are exactly where you're supposed to be. But it is also about, you can take charge, you can take control of it, so instead of just being a participant on this journey, you can actually take charge and design your life the way you want it to be.
Yeah.
And so, someone that comes to you, Colette, that say, I've tried everything, I can't lose the weight, or I'm so unhappy, what would be your very first step or a piece of advice for them? Where do they actually start?
I think, I don't have necessarily. I mean, I know what to ask people, and I know what advice to give to people. But initially, I want to hear from my clients. I want to know what it is that they have tried, and how much effort they've actually put into trying, because very often we'll try something and not stick with it because we don't see instant results. Like the lady who's had or been on a milkshake diet and lost 2 stone in 2 weeks will never lose 2 stone in 2 weeks doing my eating plan, because I don't believe that that's the right way to do it. So there's always going to be a kind of a meeting in the middle in terms of me understanding what it is that they've done that hasn't worked or has worked in the past. And from there, we work together to try and find a way to kind of make a long-term plan, so that I know that it works for them, it works for their lifestyle, it works for their other commitments as well, and that they're realistically able to step up and actually take care of themselves. Because I could say, you need to spend an hour in the gym every single day, you need to spend an hour decompressing at the end of the night, you need to not have any fun food or alcohol, and you need to make sure that you are weighing every single thing that you eat. Now, nobody's going to go, yay, I can't wait.
Yeah.
But over time, you might find that people are more inclined to get into that habit because that's what starts to work for them. So it's about finding kind of common ground and then figuring out what it is that people have tried. And you know what? If you've tried everything in the past and it hasn't worked, you haven't tried. Just recognize the fact that actually whatever you were doing isn't working because you're not where you want to be. Number one. Number two, be kind to yourself, because as Marilise says, you are exactly where you're supposed to be. And you know what, when you start treating yourself the way that fit chick would treat herself, and eating the way the fit chick would eat, and exercising the way that she would eat, amazing things happen, because you suddenly start to go, right, I'm ready to up level. I'm ready to look after myself because I'm going to be that fit chick. In fact, I am that fit chick.
Yeah, that's so true. And I guess I just want to sort of pick up on the habit and new habits, and also there's a very good reason why we give up after a week, and we've tried something and it doesn't work. It's because our brains are wired that way. Our brains are wired to keep us safe and to protect us from change. So when you start doing something new, all of a sudden your brain is going, what the hell is Marilise on about? We've got to get her back to the old way. And then if you keep doing it, like the brain will kind of fight it for a few days, but then the brain is also very adaptable, and it will then say, she keeps doing this must be important to her. So maybe I just follow the path of least resistance. And that's why we always say, to change a habit, to change a behavior. I mean, some of the research that's been kind of quoted broadly over the last few years has been 21 days, but more recent research has actually suggested it's 66 days. So when you try, I think to have a reasonable chance of making a habit stick, you've got to persevere at least for a 3-week period of time. I think that's really key.
Absolutely. I mean, we know that you've sometimes got to grab yourself kicking and screaming, right, into the gym, or kicking and screaming into the fridge to go and, and how often do you walk into your fridge, open it and go, everything in there's going to be work. It's just too much work. I just want the takeaway.
Yeah.
Happens to everybody, right?
Yeah.
Or you buy that box of biscuits and you stick it in the cupboard and you say, that's for the kids. Hungry, open the fridge, too much work, oh my God, biscuits. Yeah, that happens to everybody. And, we're wired like that, as you say. So it takes discipline and it takes sticking to a plan. I think if somebody has done all the thinking for you and given you a plan to follow, you've just got to, and if that expert is saying to you, over the next 21 days, you're going to fundamentally change the way that you view yourself. You're going to learn a new way of eating, a new way of exercising. You're going to feel so much better about yourself if you just give this a go. Just trust the process. What's 21 days in your life, right? And if you just trust that process and you take all those little steps to get there, you'll be amazed at how far you can go and how far you can come in those 21 days. I've got this 21-day program, which people are loving because it does exactly that. It takes you through step by step by step by step by step. And you get to the end of the 21 days and suddenly somebody's gone, oh my God, I've lost 7 kilograms. Where did that go? Where's it gone? And it's because you've cleaned up habits. It's because you've started taking care of yourself, looking after yourself, and actually taking the time to eat properly. Yeah. So, it's important, long-term period and sticking to a plan, trusting the process.
Yeah. I think that for me was the key thing, and I think it's the key thing across everything you do in life. It is to
Yeah,
trust the process, you know. So if you invest in something
yeah.
in order to improve, you know, not just necessarily from a physiology or an exercise perspective or
Mm,
a body and mind perspective, but also from a learning perspective, you know, it's really about trusting the process. And I think often, you know, what we want to do is we want to critique and we want to say, oh, but I can do it better or I can do it slightly differently, and you sort of want to change it and edit it, and you just have to literally stick with it. I think that was one of the biggest lessons that I've learned going through. Colette runs a longer term, like 4-month transformation program as well, which is the option that I went for. And for me, that was really like regularly I had to remind myself, just trust the process, because it gets really tough at times.
yeah,
You've got to really persevere and stick with it. Anyways, I'm
absolutely.
fairly
Really.
conscious of time. I mean, we're always chatting and running out of time so quickly. These shows are supposed to be only like 30 minutes, but we end up, you know,
Oh, right.
sharing so much rich content. So
Very
I always kind of keep
fun.
going. Um, but yeah, I just wanted to make sure people can find you, Colette.
Okay.
You know, and you've got such a wealth of resources and knowledge. And you know, if people want to get in touch with you, how can they do that?
The best way is to either find me on social media. I'm very active on Facebook, The Goddess Academy, Colette Pena. I'm very active on Instagram. My website is called thegoddessacademy.co.uk. Come and join me, and you'll find information about all the programs that I run on my website. So have a little look. Uh, you know, free resources. I've got a happy hour group on Facebook, and we get together and we exercise, and I share bits and pieces on there. You can come and do live classes with me on Zoom. I run a 21-day program, which is the one I've just mentioned to you, and that is something that is it's relatively new. I've been running it for 4 months over lockdown, and the results that my clients are getting are just so rewarding. It's amazing
Mm,
because it's a 21-day period, and most people can commit themselves to 3 weeks of something, right?
mm.
So, when you start to find, when you start to get results, how often do you find this? And I'm sure that you found this as well, Marilise, is that as soon as you start to get results, it kind of drives you. You really want to stick to it then because you know that it's working, and you just want to push harder, right? So
Yeah.
the people who started in June are still doing the program with me now in September because they're getting results. So it's just about connecting with me. So yeah, so best thing is Facebook, Instagram, or come onto my website, and of course you can fill in my form, and we can connect if you want to talk a little bit more in terms of what it is that I offer. And then the body transformation program that Marilise did is called the Ultimate Body Formula, and that is specifically designed and geared to helping professional women, ambitious women who are wanting to really step up a notch. So if you're serious and you're ready to step on that bandwagon, that's the program for you. And of course, we can have a chat about it.
Amazing. No, I am absolutely, you know, cannot recommend you enough.
No, my pleasure.
I always say to people, you know, you came into my life at a point when I was at a very low point in my career, you know, where I was transitioning from employee to running my own business, and it was a tough transition. And I always think that the timing of getting my body strong and my body in shape created that
Absolutely.
platform for me then to create the momentum. As you say, you should just start when you see the result, it creates momentum, but it really helped in all the areas of my life, you know. And that's why the physiology mastery for me, you know, is so critical, because it helps us just be the best version of ourselves. You know, it helps us get that energy for life. You know, our bodies you know, carry us every day, and we've got to look after it. And so yeah, so I think, you know, just to kind of bring it back to the theme of future skills, in a
Yeah,
corporate setting, in a work setting, you know, the highest achievers that I see on a daily basis have incredible habits, you know, when it comes to their food and their exercise and their decompression, their mindfulness, their mental wellness as well. So yeah, we can learn from those high achievers. We can learn from the, you know, the best in the world, in terms of how they manage their physiology on a day-to-day
absolutely.
basis.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
Good.
yeah, thank you so much, Colette.
Pleasure.
And
Thank you for having me.
yeah, Always a pleasure to talk to you, and very, very honored to have you today. Thank you.
Thank you, honey. Thank you for having me. Bye, everybody.
Hey, and thank you for watching. Make sure you subscribe to my channel so that you don't miss another video or episode. And do share this with a friend or a colleague. I hope you enjoyed it. Until next week, bye.